Solange Mougin joins me on the set for a look at today's press review. Hi, Solange.
Hi, Jenny.
You're starting with reaction in Australia to the swearing-in of the new Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese.
Yeah, and I'd have to say, if there's a wordplay / headline of the day, it goes to the Australian. The centre-right paper has scrawled on its front page, Albanese Does It, noting that a third of voters cast ballots for the Labour Party, but that and that it was enough to give Scott Morrison what he calls, quote, a devastating defeat. Now, for the centrist Sydney Morning Herald, the Labour win rings in a new era, and Albanese's flying start has already begun, it says. Even though votes are still being counted, he has been sworn in so he can attend the Quad meeting summit tomorrow. Now, the papers are dissecting what brought about this shift after 9 years of the Conservatives, and the FT notes, quote, the narrow mandate comes from running a safe campaign that shied away from promising big reforms. And for the New York Times, this was a climate election of voters seeking greener policies, but the paper warns that altering Australians' energy habits will be difficult.
The environment's also making headlines today in regard to global food prices.
Yeah, The Guardian is taking a look at the Bank of England's warning that apocalyptic food prices are coming to the UK and to other countries. And the paper takes us through those countries that are already grappling with food insecurity, and thus that they risk they have a higher risk of political upheaval. Now, part of such food apocalypse is due to shortages and inflation because of Ukraine, with, among other issues, millions of acres of fields having been sprinkled with Russian landmines. And Politico notes that explosives are only the tip of the iceberg as the country grapples with invaded territories, live combat, blocked ports, and stolen food. But on the upside, Politico notes that more and more farmers are indeed back in the fields, quote, trying to feed the world. And as we see in a cartoon by Al Arab discussing Egypt's own risks, it shows a farmer cradled by a hand of wheat, but walking forward, unable to reach across the cliff to food security. And it isn't just conflict that is leading to these cereal shortages, but it's also climate change, with massive droughts in places like India, Somalia, and California, and here in France as well. As we see in the Tribune de Genève, Herman has drawn his version of a Malaise Angelus, but entitled it France's Droughts, with a cracked earth motif, for farmers here too are now praying for rain.
Staying in France now, Solange, the French press is talking about the makeup of the new cabinet from the new French Prime Minister, Elisabeth Borne.
Yeah, as Les Echos tells us, there are challenges and also emergencies ahead, and there's already political drama as well, with the paper noting the surprise pick of France's new education minister, but also the rape accusations levied on Damien Abad, the Minister of Solidarity. Mediapart, which broke the story, notes that 2 accusations of rape were made before Abad was picked, and the fact that Macron's government went ahead with him nonetheless is proving, according to Mediapart, to be quite an embarrassment.
Now, looking back and wishing the government had done things differently is the essence and the moral of the story in a piece in the New York Times.
Yeah, the Times this past weekend published a major multi-article report about France's government's role in impoverishing Haiti, how starting in 1825 it demanded astronomical figures and sums to not invade and reinstate slavery in the former colony. This created a debt spiral from the former colony, which contributed to the current catastrophic poverty today, according to the Times. It is a major work of journalism and should not be missed. But it is also one that is getting quite a bit of pushback online. It's less about the content, but more about how the Times has sort of teased the story, how it's their discovery of the debt spiral. A Guggenheim fellow collected the outrage of other historians online who said that they were not credited or even thanked for their contribution. One professor as well wrote that it was a classic move where you discover something and then bury the details and sites that show that it is less novel than suggested. Now, in defense of the New York Times, and this was also being retweeted, the paper did publish a under-the-hood article explaining how 4 reporters, 12 researchers went through thousands of documents over an entire year to bring this story to light.
Now, another story that broke this weekend that's still making headlines is Kylian Mbappe's decision to stay in Paris.
Yeah, it is a new era for the PSG. That is the headline today of the French sports daily L'Équipe, which celebrates the end of a year-long saga over whether its star player would go to Real Madrid or stay in Paris. As for the Spanish press, it is bouncing back from its disappointment. The sports daily Marca published an interview today of Mbappe saying that he feels privileged to have been courted so well by Real Madrid, and he says he will be its #1 fan at the Champions League's final.
All right, Solange, just to wrap up now, you have another tribute. This one is sending off another Parisian great.
Yeah, the French press is paying tribute today to the artist Miss.Tic, the sources of street art, as Miss.Tic calls her, died Sunday at the age of 66. She was, as Huffington Post France notes, a legend among Parisians and within art circles as well for her stencil art and her feminist messages that have, for decades, adorned the streets of Paris. We know them well, and we wish her off well.
Thanks for that, Solange Mougin there with today's press review. Thanks to you for watching France 24. Stay with us. Live from Paris continues after this.